Just to give you a bit more of a breakdown of what happens to the material, the elements on the left-hand side represent, apart from the oxygen, I should think, better than 90% of the material. And you can see, therefore, that the iron component, which is basically iron and slag, can be recovered in the electric arc furnace. Now, most of that electric arc furnace feed is scrap, but it provides perhaps 5% of the feed, and you recover that as steel, and the slag that you get out of the electric arc furnace goes on to be crushed and used as road base. So there's complete recycling there. And then in our material, it's mostly zinc, lead, and a little bit of cadmium, and that goes, it's first of all washed, together with chlorides and salt basically, which is washed out and can be discharged to the sea after purification. And then those elements go through to a conventional zinc smelter, and many smelters also recover the lead and the cadmium. They don't pay for the lead and the cadmium, but they receive that and then they produce it as a metal, which they sell to the battery people. So it really is complete recycling. In terms of our green credentials, if you like, compared to existing recycling technology, we benefit from recovery of iron, which they don't in conventional technology because the equipment works at 1100 degrees, not 1300 degrees, so you don't get the metallization of the iron. We have greater zinc recovery, we have a cleaner and better value zinc product, we have a lower carbon footprint, and ultimately no waste. So this technology is superior not only environmentally, but, I'm glad to say, economically as well. And as a result of that, we don't need this fee, and that's why I call it a game-changing technology. That's a phrase bandied around rather a lot. It's usually meant we're a little bit cheaper than the guy next door. We're so much cheaper that we actually will change the structure of the industry. And I believe it will be a short time before this technology is accredited with the sort of best available commercial technology tag, which is obviously a big competitive advantage for us. So where are we rolling it out? First, I want to talk a few minutes now about the Korean project. Korea is the second largest importer of scrap in the world, and it feeds a thriving electric arc furnace industry, which is located around the coast of the country at these blue locations, so that it can access that imported scrap. South Korea is a small country, it's about the size of England or the state of Ohio if you're from the other side of the water. And to date, basically, the dust generated in these plants has gone to landfill. So we approached the steel industry about 6 years ago, and we got into discussions with them, and we said, we'll take your dust for free. And they said, that sounds very good. And I said, and if you all agree to it, we'll pay your transport as well. Well, that got them very interested, and they agreed to that. And I said, but look, there's a wrinkle here. We want to cut you into the upside to make it more of a partnership if the zinc price goes very high, because I've seen the bitterness of steel companies when the recyclers don't give them something. But I said the quid pro quo is we want you to start paying for transport at lower cost. And they agreed to that, because actually they want to see us with a sustainable solution that will work at any zinc price. So unlike a zinc mine, which has a fixed cost, you either make money or you don't, depending on the zinc price, we have a sloping cost, which if you like, it is a built-in hedge on the zinc price, which is quite handy. We're saving our plant is here just outside Pahang, and we sell our iron, all the dust comes in here, and we sell the iron product back to these closer mills, and our zinc product will be sold to Korea Zinc in the first phase, which has one of the biggest lead zinc smelters in the world, just 60 kilometers away. Huge support from the zinc and steel industry and government, and that's allowed us to get foreign investment zone status. The biggest hurdle for our plant in Korea was land. It's extremely expensive, it's very difficult to find, and of course there are always environmental issues when you tell people you're about to build a hazardous waste treatment plant on their doorstep. But we did find some land, but it was very expensive, as is all land in Korea. So it cost you $500,000 in the States, cost you $20 million in Korea. Against the project cost of about $110 million, it becomes very, very significant to your rate of return. But fortunately, recognizing that the cost of land is a huge disincentive to foreign investors, the government have a scheme whereby if you have foreign investment zone status, they will buy the land for you and rent it back to you. I must say, when I first heard of this scheme, I thought, well, yeah, great, government schemes, not in my lifetime sort of thing. But that was not the case. We applied for our foreign investment zone status in December of 2009. In April 2010, we had it, and in July 2010, the government started buying the land, and in November, we signed up a 50-year lease over the land with 5 years rent-free, and we pay rent at 5% per annum, so it's about $1 million a year thereafter. So, good place to do business in many ways, but this was a huge boost to the project. Let's just have a little look at the project. This is an artist's impression, and we'll show you what's actually happened on site over the last 9 months, but I can sort of highlight the main features of the plant here. We bring the dust in these sealed bulk carriers, rather like you bring cement in, and it's pneumatically transferred into one of 3 silos depending upon grade. It then goes into this briquetting tower here, and it's mixed with pulverized coal. Coal comes in open trucks, and then it's pulverized here, and then it's transmitted pneumatically under nitrogen into the briquetting tower. It's then, the briquettes are dried. I think this is showing up there, yeah, sorry. And they go ultimately into the rotary hearth furnace. So we have feed preparation, very important, and it's a service mentality. So we have to be able to take this dust, even if we've closed down the RHF for a bit of maintenance. So that big bin there, that big silo, allows us to continue to take dust for 3 weeks, even if the plant is completely closed. That costs $10 million, so that's part of being in the service business, being able to provide something 24/7, as you know. And then the rotary hearth furnace is where the metal separation effectively takes place. The gas handling, of course we're recovering our zinc, but very, very importantly we're recovering heat. We've put about an extra $15 to $20 million into that bit of the plant to recover the heat, and it probably saves us $5 million a year in gas. And then the final bit of it is the hot briquetting. Now, things can work fast before I go on to that. Nobody has built a rotary hearth furnace large enough to treat 400,000 tons of dust a year, which is what we've got in Korea. So we decided to split it into 2 phases. Firstly, from a technology point of view, and secondly, from the point of view of cost. Get up and running quickly, and then the bank will lend us the money for the second phase. So first phase there, second phase there, just slots in next door. If we now look at some pictures from the south to begin with, and then we're going to look at pictures from this side, where we get actually a better view over the plant. And that's what it looked like in January. By March, we had put in our temporary power, sewage and water for our construction site offices, which are back here at the back side of the picture, and put in drainage and roads. In April, we started putting in the foundations, and then now move across the other side and show you pictures. And these pictures are taken about a week to 10 days apart. So if any of you are having an extension built on your house, you may want to turn away now. I don't want to see anybody crying in this room. But it is quite remarkable how quickly things can happen. We've had very good engineering contractors, Exmatec, who basically were the engineering division of Korea Zinc, the biggest zinc producers in Korea. So we've now got 90% of the plant, buildings and equipment up. We've just got the hot briquetting tower working on, and I think these pictures are self-explanatory. We've got production staff. We're building up our team on that side of it. All the senior staff have been recruited. Okay, just a quick look at the project in figures. 200,000 tons of dust, 25%, gives us about 83,000 tons of concentrate, or nearly 50,000 tons of zinc a year. $110 million cost. $50 million of that was provided by Korea Zinc, who have entered into an off-take agreement to take the products from phase 1. And we have put up $60 million of our own equity. It should be up and running in the first quarter of next year. Throws out $31 million of EBITDA, and has a 38% rate of return. That's post-finance, tax, and everything. Phase 2, we'll probably press the button on this, I hope, in about June of next year. It's slightly lower grade because we've taken the dust from the mills generating a higher grade of zinc in the first instance to improve our cash flow. It's $100 million of capital cost, and it throws out obviously less EBITDA, $22 million. It's quite difficult to separate these 2 projects out, so we combine them together in terms of looking at the economics, and we haven't come out with a statement on the financing yet. So on a purely equity basis, we're looking at $162 million of NPV down at the bottom right-hand corner, and a 22% rate of return. The combined output from these mines, I'm sorry it's not shown here, is 92,000 tons of zinc. If this were a zinc mine, it would be the fifth biggest zinc mine in China, which is the biggest producer in the region. A quick word about cost, if I just bear with me on this. Basically, what is the sensitivity of the project to the zinc price? And the darker blue line shows the increasing revenue from the project as the zinc price rises. The brown line is the iron, so the pale blue line at the top is the total revenue for the project. The red line is operating costs, and you can see that dips down below 1,500 where the transport is beginning to be paid for by the mills, and it goes up above 1,800 more steeply, because that's when we cut in the mills for a bit of the upside. And the net effect is the green line, which is our EBITDA, which shows our operating break-even at about $1,000 a tonne zinc, which is roughly half the price of zinc today. I would suggest at $1,000 a tonne, 70% of the world's zinc is losing money. So it won't be there for very long if it does go down there. And then finally on phase 2, the financing, nobody's going to try and finance phase 2 until phase 1 is up and running properly. But when it is, then we'll go to the banks, we'll ask for a project finance loan, we're an operating company, we're making money and we want to expand. But the first thing the banks will need is security of the assets, and that's at the moment held with Korea Zinc under their off-take loan agreement. So we'll need to repay those loans. We'll also need to put a hedge in place because the banks don't want to take that commodity risk. So it's basically a $210 million project, and the conversations so far we've had with the banks indicate they'll lend between 100 and 120 million. That's not a sort of flaky rough figure, it's a very precise figure. It's based upon the price at which we can hedge. So at a lower zinc price, we hedge at a lower price, there's less cover for the banks, they'll lend us 100 million, at a higher zinc price it's 120. They've been quite precise about what could be lent to us. We keep our $60 million of equity in place, that means we're about $50 to $30 million light. But we have the phase 2 offtake to negotiate. So as we've just paid Korea Zinc back for their loans, maybe Korea Zinc or another company would be prepared to come up with the same sort of amount of money to get the offtake agreement for phase 2. So I'm quietly confident that we won't be requiring a large equity placing or something like that for phase 2. One last slide now on the rollout. There are other centres where there's a lot of dust being generated in one area, sufficient for us to install one of our plants. We've been working very hard in Thailand and in Turkey and the States, and therefore we have got a vision for a global rollout over the next 3 or 4 years. Thank you very much for your time.